Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day, depending where you are in the world. It's the nighttime devotion. Had a wonderful Sabbath. Thank you for asking. And the devotional is called Conflict and Courage. If the sound is not right, I apologize. I've forgotten the microphone. Conflict and Courage by Ellen White. The title today, Divine Bodyguard. 2 Timothy 4:16 and 17. At my first answer no man stood with me, but all men forsook me. Notwithstanding the Lord stood with me and strengthened me, that by me the preaching might be fully known, and that all the Gentiles might hear. When Paul was summoned to appear before the Emperor Nero for trial, it was with the near prospect of certain death. Among the Christians at Rome, there was not one who came forward to stand by him in that trying hour. Paul before Nero, how striking the contrast. The name of Nero made the world tremble. To incur his displeasure was to lose property, liberty, and life. And his frown was more to be dreaded than a pestilence. Without money, without friends, without counsel, the aged prisoner stood before Nero. The countenance of the emperor bearing the shameful record of the passions that raged within. The face of the accused telling of a heart at peace with God. How could Nero, a capricious, passionate, licentious tyrant, be expected to understand or appreciate the character and the motives of this Son of God? The results of opposite systems of education stood that day contrasted. A life of unbounded self-indulgence and a life of entire self-sacrifice. Here were the representatives of two theories of life, all-absorbing selfishness, which counts nothing too valuable to be sacrificed for momentary gratification, and self-denying endurance, ready to give up life itself, if need be, for the good of others. The people and the judges looked at him in surprise. They had been present at many trials and had looked upon many a criminal, but never had they seen a man wear a look of such holy calmness. His words struck a chord that vibrated in the hearts even of the worst hardened. Truth, clear and convincing, overthrew error. The words spoken on this occasion were destined to shake nations. Faithful among the faithless, loyal among the disloyal, he stands as God's representative, and his voice is as a voice from heaven. His words are as a shout of victory above the roar of battle. Divine bodyguard. Now that is a very apt title. And why? Because at that time, Paul was required to stand before Nero, who was the most feared of that time. He was a tyrant, as it said, capricious, passionate, licentious tyrant. And there was Paul, humble, humble, and had nothing but God to look to. When I said nothing but God to, nothing of himself, nothing in this world he could rely on. There was no one with him. No one, not one person stood with him, even showed up to be there. And he didn't feel like he stood alone because God was with him. God was his divine bodyguard. Everyone feared Nero. Every living soul at that time feared Nero. And as is said here, Paul was there, calm, composed, because he trusted God to be with him, to, regardless what was the outcome, regardless what the outcome was, Paul was standing for God. And when you stand for God, regardless of the outcome, whether your life is taken or not, you are doing what God has called you to do. Be a witness of the truth, regardless what anyone else says. If you stand by the truth, live by the truth, no one can do anything to stop you. And he is always, as long as we do what we're required to do, he's always our divine bodyguard too.